And to add fuel to the fire, I was a bit rebellious in my teenage years. Okay, I was a lot rebellious in my teenage years. I just liked to test my limits no matter what I was doing. With grades, ignoring curfews, ignoring expectations, I felt different. That's about as well as I can explain it, like the rules didn't really apply to me. Not in a I am better than you kind of way, but more like in a that rule is stupid kind of way. I had a hard time relating to people who just accepted all their restrictions without question. I'd always been able to talk my way out of any situation I found myself in. That itself made me feel out of step with the world around me. While everyone else seemed to struggle to find their voice, words flew out of my mouth at the speed of light. That wasn't always a good thing, but it was pretty much always an effective thing. I never understood what was so difficult about just saying whatever was on your mind. But sometimes folks looked at me like I was an alien, even though I thought it made me determined. I wanted results, and I wanted them immediately. Regardless, I'm not sure my parents found the outspoken trait quite as endearing as Jack Whitfield III had found it. He told me once it was what had made me irresistible to him. It goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. Mama and Daddy were less than pleased when I announced I was dating a man 10 years my senior, especially one whose womanizing reputation preceded him. They were always cordial when he came to the house to see me or to pick me up, but they didn't like it, not one little bit. They reminded me often of the age difference between us and the problems that went along with that. They said I liked the idea of a relationship with Jack much more than I liked Jack. Then one night, after yet another round with Daddy, he told me Jack Whitfield III had a way with women. That made me laugh, and I said, I certainly hope so. My father was furious with that answer, and an argument ensued. Daddy ended the argument by saying he forbade me to see Jack again. He might as well have told me not to breathe. I failed to mention the argument to Jack. Looking back, I'm sure he would have done the honorable thing and backed off. But I wasn't about to let somebody else tell me how to live my life. Not even my parents. As much as I loved them, this was my life. For the next couple of weeks, I got pretty slick about hiding my relationship with Jack from them. On the Friday exactly 2 weeks after I had gotten that I forbid you to see him speech from my daddy, Jack and I picked up Ella Ray and Laine, drove to Texas, found a justice of the peace, and got married. I had managed to con Jack into believing that my parents, while they weren't happy about it, had consented to the elopement. He questioned me, of course, but I told him they understood what we were doing but didn't want to be a part of it. I even produced the proper legal document showing my father's signature allowing me to do so. It was forged, of course, but Jack didn't know that. I know that sounds just awful, but I loved this man, and I knew my parents would too if they would just give him a chance. If I came back married, they had no choice but to accept him. And then, I reasoned, we could all live happily ever after. Jack had wanted to talk to my father face to face, but I had convinced him it was unnecessary and unwelcome. Let's just go, I said. Don't make it any harder than it has to be. He'll just try to talk us out of it. Don't you want to marry me? Not like this, Carrigan. It had taken quite a performance, one that surely warranted an Academy Award, but in the end, I won. Ella Ray had been on board immediately. It took a little coaxing for Laine. At first, she had absolutely refused to be a part of it. She had been mortified at the prospect of deceiving Jack and my parents. But then again, Laine felt bad if she gave the dog the cheap biscuits. Finally, she realized if she were the only one of us left in town that weekend, she'd cave into the questions immediately. So rather than facing the firing squad alone, she reluctantly climbed.